Hello, welcome to all CareersTalk channel. Today we are back with another interesting topic, that is stakeholder engagement. Before getting into the video, I would request you all to like, share and subscribe our channel so that we create such more useful content. So without getting any delay, let's start our video. So today's agenda is who is a stakeholder, stakeholder engagement, and some useful metrics that BA can use to evaluate the performance of stakeholder engagement. So first, let's see who is a stakeholder. Stakeholder is a person or a group and organization who is indirectly or directly involved in the project and get impacted by the output of the project. So here we can say the stakeholder can be an internal stakeholder or the external stakeholder. Internal stakeholders are the people who are involved in the project within the organization, and the external stakeholders are those who are outside the organization and help in the process of the development of the project. So let's take an example that you're developing a mobile app. It could be a Swiggy, Zomato, or any Book My Show kind of an app. So the company has decided to develop such kind of a project. So when you're developing that project, so here you, as a BA, you're responsible to interact with various persons over there and collect the requirements. So before collecting the requirements and before the BA is starting the project, he should understand what are the various stakeholders involved in the project at various levels, so that he gets a clear picture whom to contact at what point of the time, and what kind of people will be using the application, what kind of solution he should be able to suggest for the outstanding problem. So it's very important for the BA to understand the behavior of the stakeholders, to understand who are the major stakeholders that he need to be contacted and at what point of the time. So in our case, when we are developing a mobile application project, the internal stakeholders would be our project team, like project manager, the technical architect, and the development team, the testing team, or DevOps team. These are the various teams that are involved in the process of development of the project, and these are the internal stakeholders. Whereas the external stakeholders would be your suppliers or vendors, and then the government. If you want to host an app in a Play Store or in an App Store, it is necessary for us to get some legal clearances. So in that way, you should be able to develop the project that satisfy these legal conditions. So in that sense, the government would be one of the stakeholders which we need to keep in our mind while developing the project. So these are the various stakeholders, those are involved in developing a project. The internal stakeholders would be our development team, and the external stakeholders would be the government, vendors, suppliers, and the end users who are actually using the using our app. So I hope who is a stakeholder is clear, so that we can move forward for the other slides. So KPIs for stakeholder engagement. What is a KPI? KPI is a key performance indicator. So whenever we define some KPIs while engaging or while contacting with the stakeholders, it would help us to understand various aspects of our business where we need to improve them. And it also helps us in understanding the stakeholder expectations, where are we standing, and what are the necessary steps that we need to take to meet the stakeholder expectations. They also provide, these KPIs can be either quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative can be which you can represent in the numeric format, so against certain standards, so that to see whether we are above the standard or below the standard or on the standard. And this helps us to increase our productivity and operational efficiency in various areas, that could be increasing our performance or profitability or marketing or customer service, whatever may be. It depends on what kind of KPI we are measuring. If you are measuring a CSAT KPI, it shows that how much satisfied the customer is, and based on that quantitative measure, you would be able to understand what are the necessary improvements that need to be taken, so that you are satisfying the customer and you are always on the upper side of the customer satisfaction. So so for KPIs are very much important for us to understand and track them throughout our project. So importance of stakeholder engagement. So as I said, stakeholders, identifying the stakeholders is very much important. So when you're identifying the stakeholders and trying to them engage them in your process, I mean, stakeholders are very important for the success of the project, because there could be the SMEs, or they are the people who are going to use the product, or they are the people who are going to help you in the development of the product. So it is very important for us to build trust and relationship for the in the whole process. For example, in my previous project, when I was working to automate the process, one of the process, there was a very much backstep from the stakeholders, that they were not able to cooperate with me in gathering the requirements, because they are very much feared that once the process is automated, there is a risk for their job, because they are the people who are doing it manually as of now, and once the automation is done, maybe they would not be required for that job anymore. So in that cases, it is very difficult for us to get our requirements and to know the process of that particular process being carried out. So it's as a BA, you should be able to communicate them and understand what is the importance of that being automated, or what is the importance, or what can ease their job by automating it, and building a kind of a trust from them with them helps you in understanding the requirements, and helps you in understanding the various processes that are involved in automating that particular process. So building a trust and relationship with them helps you, you should helps you in gathering the requirements very easily. It helps you to step to them at any point of the time and ask help whatever you needed. So communication and building trust is very much important with the stakeholders. It could be the SMEs or the customers or the development team, whomever you're working with. It is very important for us to build a trust and relationship. As a BA, you should be always, able to convince them and get what you actually need for them from them. So meeting stakeholder expectations. So once you are communicating with them and getting the trust and relationship, build the trust and relationship with them, you will actually understand what are they expecting, what actually they want from you. So when that open discussion happens, and when there is a um, free flow of communication, you would be able to understand what are their expectations, and how they want how the product wanted to be. So in that way, it helps you to design a better product, so that meet their expectations. If you are not able to understand their expectations and what they are expecting from it, it's very difficult for you to convince the stakeholders to use that product. Or if you're working with any development team, you should be able to understand what a development team is expecting from you, what kind of information they are expecting from you, to develop that particular product. And if it is in the point of a customer, you should be able to understand what the customer is actually expecting from you, so that is his problem. So it's very important to communicate and understand the expectations of the stakeholders, As a result, you will be able to meet their expectations. Then driving innovation and adaptation. So when you do this communication on a frequent basis, you will be able to and involve them in the decision making and in decision making process, and taking their feedbacks in each and every step that you are involved. It helps them to get adapt to that process easily, and also you will get various inputs from them. What is actual competition, or what are the competitors doing, what you actually need, from them, so that you can innovate new products as per the customer requirement. So you should it also helps us in driving the innovation and adaptation. Risk management and issue resolution. Let's think you have developed in the starting of the project, you have involved them and you have gathered the requirements, and now you went to your development team, and then you built a product. When you have done that, now the product is developed, and now you're going back to the customer saying that your so and so product is ready. Then in that scenario, the customer says, sorry, this is not the project which I was thinking for. Okay. So it means that you fail to take the customer feedback at every point, which shows that there is a risk of, all your efforts, finance, and everything went into a vein, which which you have to accept it, and finally the project is a fail. So it also are it when you involve the stakeholder at various process or various stages wherever required, it helps us to manage the risk very efficiently. So that and also they come up with when they come up with the various issues, it is very easy for us to resolve in the starting stages of the project, rather than waiting for the at the end to complete, and getting a negative feedback from the customer, and saying that our project has been turned into a toss. So it's very important for the stakeholders to involve at every stage, which helps us in minimizing of the risk and finding issue resolutions at early stages. Now, let's see some of the KPIs which are very important for business analysts. Take it's a stakeholder satisfaction. So we generally measure a CSAT score for that. So for any service or the product, you would be seeing for any restaurant or any app. Sometimes you are using your Urban Clap or your Swiggy restaurant app. When you use those apps, you will be getting at the end of the notification saying that would you like to rate this app. Okay. So and you will get a questionnaire like, how is the customer service, how does the app responding, are you satisfied with the app, or what are the major areas that are required to develop. So and they give you a rating saying that 5 star, from rating 1 to 5. So in that way, collecting that customer rating would help you understand the customer satisfaction. So this is a sample survey template that used for a service, customer after service, and here we have given a rating on 1 to 10 scale, 10 giving them a quite satisfied and one showing as a quite dissatisfied, and the customer needs to rate on each and every service over here and give a reason for that. In that way, we give this template to various customers that are using our service and try to get the score of all the services, and try to get the rating of all the services. So now, when you're trying to get that score, suppose you have sent your survey template some to 10 customers, and you have got a feedback from these 10 customers. So the total score of the 10 customers is like 100. for all overall rating, okay, for all various attributes, the overall score for one customer is 10 and the other customer is also 10. In that way, likewise, for 10 customers, when you add up the overall score for all the collected from all the customers, let's assume that it is around 100. So your total score would be 100 over here, and now divided by number of customer responses. You have given that number of customer responses is 10 and into 100. So when you calculate that, you will get you will get a satisfaction score, and see whether it is above the industry benchmark or below the industry benchmark, and take the necessary steps. And when you go through the attributes, you see a few attributes where customers have given poor rating. So those are the areas where you need to increase your services, and you need to take your corrective actions. And then net promoter score, this is another important KPI which we business analysts should know. So this is like how much likely the customer is willing to refer your product to the other customers. So let's say that NPS score ranges from -100 to 100, and you have detractors. These are the people who are not willing to refer your product to the other customers. So generally we rate detractors as 0 to 6. And then passives is like these are the people who are neutral, and they're like, whatever may be the service, they do not much they don't much care. And they are like, they don't refer your product. It's not like they refer your product or not refer your product, they're like neutral. So they are 7 to 8, and the customers who have given the rating 7 to 8, we consider them as passives. And then promoters are the people who definitely refer your product to the others. So the customers who have rating from 9 to 10 are called as promoters. So let's say, how do we calculate NPS score? So NPS is like, once you get now say 30 customers have given your rating from 0 to 6, and 50 customers have given your rating from 7 to 8, and 9 to 10 70 customers have given your rating 9 to 10. So total score is like 70 plus 30 plus 50. That gives you 150. So total score is 150. And now percentage is a simple percentage calculation, which say that detractors is 30 by 150 into 100. That gives you 20%. And whereas passives percentage is 50 divided by 150 into 100. That gives us 33.3%. And the promoters percentage is 46.6%. So NPS score is like 46 point percentage of detractors, percentage of promoters minus percentage of detractors. So 26%. So it shows that 26% of the customers are who have taken your service are likely to refer your product to the other customers. So you should, when you try to based on the score, you should be able to try to increase your percentage of customers who refer your product to the others. And now the other KPI would be stakeholder communication. So the stakeholder communication can be, it can be measured in the it's not only for the external stakeholder, that could be the users who are using your product, but also for the internal customers or internal stakeholders, and who are also showing it, or it helps us in understanding how much a person is interested in supporting your project. Okay, so response time. Suppose you have sent a questionnaire to, you have conducted a stakeholder meeting, and then you have sent a questionnaire for your particular stakeholders for information. So at the time taken to respond back, okay, about the concerns or the information or the inquiries you have taken. So the amount of time, the difference time between the request and the receive is called as a response time. So when you see there is a so much of delay in the response time, might be they are not interested, or they might, you might feel that there is, that you might get a less um, support from these kind of stakeholders. So it shows how much interest they are showing. You can actually infer how much interest they are showing in developing your in supporting you while this development process, or whatever, or in taking the surveys again. This is one of the KPI that business analysts can look for. And then stakeholder satisfaction with communication. So how do you how do you understand the satisfaction of your communication? Okay, well, how much you have been how much this customer is satisfied with the information you provided, or with this um or any other thing, or the service you have given. So that help us in in taking the surveys, and using the rating skills, that what we saw in our previous slide, that CSAT, and giving them survey, sending them a survey template and everything. So stakeholder satisfaction with the communication is another KPI. So again, the other one is feedback incorporation. Assess the extent to which extent stakeholder feedback is incorporated. Now, see, you have been developed, or you have been asked for the customer survey, and you got many feedbacks from different customers, and you should be able to see how much that feedback is being used for the further improvement of the product. So you should, these are not quantitative KPIs, but these are the qualitative KPIs, which we should be able to keep track of, to understand what is actually to understand how we can improve our further development process, or further service that is being given, and what are the different attributes that we might consider while developing this while improvement plan, while doing our improvement plans. So feedback incorporation is one thing. And then communication reach. Assess the extent the communication reach by measuring the number of stakeholders who receive and engage with communication materials, or participate in your communication events. So you should see that, suppose you have conducted, you have asked for there is a discussion about something, and you have developed, there is a new enhancement in the product that has been developed, and then you have asked the various stakeholders to come and attend your enhancement meetings, and you can see how much your communication has been reached, and then how many people who have received that communication came and participated in your events. So these are some of the qualitative KPIs which are actually keep track of. This helps us to understand how better we can improve our communication plans. So that as communication is very much important as for any BA, so it's very important for us to keep track of all these qualitative KPIs, which helps us to increase our communication plans, and helps in efficient improvement plans as well, for the development of product or any process. And now we have seen that stakeholder engagement is very important. So as part of stakeholder engagement, we have stakeholder matrix or stakeholder maps, and then onion diagram, which helps us to understand at the involvement way, at what stage in terms of power or influence, what kind of stakeholders are involved, and then how do we interact with them. So first one is a stakeholder matrix. This helps us in understanding it's a matrix which is shown on with power and influence attributes, and understand how to interact, and how our strategy should be against each of these stakeholders, so that our product development is not disturbed at any stage. So when we see that stakeholder mapping, so we have a matrix, simple matrix showing x-axis with the impact on the stakeholder, and then y-axis giving the influence of the stakeholder. When you say there is a low impact on the stakeholder and low influence on the stakeholder, you should monitor that here the efforts of BA are very less. It means that you should make sure that this the stakeholder mindset doesn't change, and he's with the same interest throughout the process development. You should monitor to ensure that stakeholder interest or influence do not change, because it's equal attribute. Now when you say when you say high impact on stakeholder and then low influence of stakeholder, so um, uh, though the stakeholder influence is very low, but any change in his mindset would there would be a high impact or anything. So for these kind of a stakeholders, you should keep them informed, keep them informed, so that they are very anxious about what is happening, because they have high impact. They would be very anxious to know what are the changes are happening, and what kind of impact might happen to them in terms of the work or whatever maybe they are doing. So you should always keep them informed. You should always satisfy them by keeping them informed about the work happening. And now, when you say the upper left corner where there is a low impact on the stakeholder and high influence of stakeholder, you should always make sure that as he has high influence, he should make sure that he's satisfied with whatever process or changes that are happening. And then when you come to the rightmost top corner where there is a high impact on stakeholder and high influence on stakeholder, you should always, so here the impact is high and also the influence is high. So whenever you're working with these kind of stakeholders, you should work with them very closely, uh, to ensure that they are already always in agree with you and support you in whatever decisions you're making and whatever changes you are suggesting. So, as a BA, you should always, as soon as you first identify your, stakeholders, yeah, you should. It's very important for us to make such a matrix and find that at what point you need to identify the stakeholders and who all fall into which grid, to make sure that you're communicating them at based on this matrix. You're providing them information, you're taking their feedback, and you're communicating them, and you're finally making sure that all the stakeholders who falls into different grids are satisfied, so that you're not you're not you're supported at every point, and it doesn't hamper your project development. And the next is a onion diagram. The onion diagram is like, it shows at which layer the different stakeholders fall, and what are the various stakeholder fit into different layers. It shows the various layers of developing the solution delivery to external stakeholders. So right inner layer shows solution delivery. So these are the people who are actually responsible to deliver the solution. So it could be our project team and others who are helped in creating the solution. And then affected organizational units. So these are the stakeholders who are actually affected when a product is delivered. So if you are automating a project, who is actually affected by this automated solution? So those are the who are actually affected. And when you are developing a product, who are actually the people who are going to use that product? So those kind of stakeholders come into this layer. So they can be the end users and help desk or the other people who are actually using your solution. Organization or enterprise. Organization or enterprise is actually who is developing your solution, and who is actually having the team that is delivering the solution, and they directly interact with the affected organizational unit stakeholders. So that could be your sponsors, executives, domain SMEs, etc. Then affected external stakeholders. So these stakeholders are not part of your solution development or in the organizational or enterprise unit, but they would be supporting your development process from the external, or they are also they should also be considered while developing your product, so that their interest or their they are not being affected, or you're not being affected once the solution has been developed by them. So this could be your regulators, government, legal, everything comes under affected external stakeholders. So rather than this, I would suggest it is better to draw a stakeholder matrix before at various stages of your project, based on the changes and the other things happening, which helps you to understand who are which stakeholder is very important at which point, and what you need to communicate with them, or how you can get information at what point, which information is important from which stakeholder. So, as a BA, everyone should draw a stakeholder matrix for to continuous to have a successful project completion. Then we have a stakeholder engagement plan. So, as I said, when you're trying to, build your KPIs or stakeholder matrix plan, and we have already discussed what is stakeholder engagement, why it is important. So we said, we need to have build trust, and it helps us in building trust and relationship and meeting the expectations, and then help in understanding the innovation and adaptation, and also minimizes the risk. So in order to achieve all these, it's very important us to have a stakeholder engagement plan. So so as part of this stakeholder engagement plan, you would be able to know at what time, how you would engage your stakeholders. To understand this, we need to understand various levels of engagement. So here we have various levels of engagement. The first one is unaware. So unaware is like, the stakeholder is not aware of the product that, or the changes, or the project that is coming into the picture. So they are not aware of what's happening. Next one is resistant. So these stakeholders, they do not want the change to happen. It might be like a part of change, or it might be like the entire change. So, so this is these category of stakeholder comes into resistant, and then neutral. Neutral is something that they are not they are neutral. They are okay if change happens, they are okay if doesn't happen also, they do not have any kind of impact, so they are okay. And then supportive is like, they you want in the starting stages, or throughout the project, or throughout the change that is happening, you need a support from these stakeholders at any point in your project. Leading. So once you start the change, and then from there, there should be a person who should be carried that out, and get a successful result. So these are the people these are the stakeholders who comes under leading category. Suppose we have we have a project coming into our organization. So product manager is a person who is supportive now. He should be supportive throughout the project, and he should be leading the project. An architect is a person who is unaware. He is not aware what kind of project is coming in, because he's not aware which project he would be working on next. So he's unaware at present, and he should be neutral at one point of the stage, so that he supports the further development of the project. Then engineer manager, he's neutral at present, and he should be, you want him to be in a desired stage in the coming stages of the project. Quality manager, he's resistant because he might be understanding that there are the defects or something that or these changes might hinder the quality standards, or whatever may be the reason. For few reasons he would be resistant for that changes or anything happening, but you want him to be in a desire supportive stage in at some point in the project. So this is a stakeholder engagement matrix, which you can draw at the point of at carrying out the project, and helps you how to interact with each stakeholders, what are they expecting, and how you can resolve the conflict of interest, and whatever may be the other major problems that can be solved by giving this matrix. So that's it, friends, for today. I hope you have got good understanding about stakeholders and who are a stakeholder engagement plan. um, uh, Thank you so much. Have a great day.